How you going, people? All right. Look, I try to tell you guys, with more facts, opinions change. And, working as a cop all these years, there's been times when we focused on one suspect and we were so sure that that person was guilty. And then during the investigation, we determined a couple of facts that kind of went, wait a minute, maybe it ain't this guy. And ended up being someone else. So you have to be flexible enough to know and be able to change your mind and not stick to something even when it's stupid. Now, in this original video where we watched this guy spit in his face and what the cop did, I was kind of on the fence on where the cop went overboard. The guy's handcuffed. I'm not sure. Here's basically what happened.
What's up, pussy? You will not spit on me again. Do you understand me?
We need a use of force and a supervisor here.
Right?
Okay, so my initial thing, because a lot of times I just look at these videos cold and give an immediate reaction because that's what most people do. If I find out information that I think is relevant, then I'd like to put it in here. So this cop, according to the write-up down here on police activity, corporal with Denver police, he was working informational release body cam suspect while sitting in a chair spitting in a corporal reached a plea deal last week with the Denver District Attorney's Office that would allow him to wipe his guilty plea to misdemeanor menacing. He was probably charged with a felony or a wobbler, something that can be charged. A wobbler in court terms is a charge that can be charged as a felony or a misdemeanor. So they normally charge it as a felony and then they let the person plead a misdemeanor to avoid the felony conviction, etc. So I'm thinking he was probably charged with aggravated assault or ADW, and he should have been. This is outrageous to me because it seems premeditated. And I know a lot of guys are going to say it doesn't matter. The guy spit in his face. He was a jerk. He had tattoos on his face. He was a bad guy. He was drunk, and a cop showed good restraint. And then, look, government needs to be held accountable. Let me see here. He wants a menacing charge off his record. If you follow the court orders, he will serve no jail time. Investigative document Tamo Armstrong was working off duty. This makes it more egregious to me. First of all, he's wearing his uniform, which I'm not a big fan of anyway. They make taxpayers assume liability for cops when they get off-duty employment. So they have cops, they get hired off duty, you work in uniform, you get protection of your police status, you get protection from the agency, you have all this additional insurance from the government, which means you don't have to be responsible for anything. You probably pick up a little limited immunity because you're in uniform and you're a peace officer. All this is put on the taxpayer's back when cops work off duty. I think it's BS. Plus, they get paid. I know cops that work off duty, they make 60, 70, 75 bucks an hour to wear their uniform because they don't have enough cops to put there who are working, so they get cops who are off duty and want to make extra money. I think that's BS. Personally, I never have liked it. I mean, it's great for cops. It's great for government workers that want to supplement their income, but they get to go out there. They're working longer hours. They're not as alert. They don't have a supervisor watching them. They're kind of on their own, but yet they get to wear the gun badge and have all the authority of the government protection and authority behind them. So I'm not a fan of that. And I know a lot of cops are going to be pissed off because I say this, because they like supplementing their income, and it's a great deal to go work. I don't mind going out plain clothes, working out there, carrying a gun, but I'm not protected by the agency. But I can carry my gun because I'm a peace officer. Some may have a problem with that. I think when you're in uniform, you ought to be on freaking duty, being paid by the government for the taxpayers, and you're responsible to the citizens. When you're off duty, I think all that changes. So I'm not a fan of this anyway, but the fact that he was off duty and did this, to me, makes it worse. And plus, then he has to call for a supervisor who is on duty, paid for by the taxpayers, to come and investigate, which is paid for by the taxpayers, to relieve him of duty, which is paid for by the taxpayers. All this because he gets to work off duty and make money off the books that the county doesn't have to pay him, but they give him all this government protection. So On that incident, I'm not a fan. Okay, he identified in court paper involved in assault inside the bar. He arrested this dude, seated him on the ground. They said he detained him. Notice he didn't arrest him. Some states, when you're off duty, you can't arrest. It's a citizen's arrest. A cop has to come. He has to turn it over to an on-duty officer because he makes a citizen's arrest. I'm not sure how Denver works this. It's different in different states. The man was sitting in his chair with his hand, according to the probable cause statement, for about 10 minutes. He berated and insulted Corporal Osterman. So big deal. That's what drunks do. They act foolish. He spit, striking him in the face. Absolutely an assault and wrong. But remember, when your response to an act is so outrageous and egregious, it overpowers the initial act. And in this case, I think him kneeing this guy in the face and in the chest and then punching him when he's handcuffed was so outrageous that it overdoes the initial assault of the spit. That's my opinion. You may not like it. Cops won't like it. I know I was talking about this with Buck, and Buck's like, I don't care what he did to him. Guy spit in his face. He could do it. He goes, I'd have knocked him on the ground, kicked all his teeth out, and I'd have been okay with that too. So people are going to be different here. My big point is, when you put on a badge and a gun, you are paid by government and you become government. And when you're government needs to be restrained. They have to have more rules. They have to follow the rules. They have to be better than the citizens because they get all that extra government protection and power. So I think this is outrageous. Now, here's the other video footage that I want to throw in, which changed my mind. Initially, I thought his response was a little over. He reacted and he just kind of punched the guy, grabbed him by the neck, and threw his head against the wall. I thought it was a little excessive, but I wasn't to the point that the guy should have been disciplined or arrested. Now, I'm absolutely glad that the DA charged him. I'm glad he had to take a plea deal, and I'm glad that he has to go to anger management for a year. Somebody posted that somewhere. I'm not sure where I read that. But let's look at the other footage. This is from the video camera this is from the surveillance camera, and that's why I saw these lockers, and I'm thinking police station, and this locker's here, I'm thinking evidence lockers. That's why I thought they were in a cop shop. And then when I saw these kegs, I was like, what the hell is this? But anyway, I digress. Look, with more information, I changed my mind. I'm changing my mind on this. This officer, he has a little hair, almost bald. He's a corporal. He's been around for a while. He was standing here wanting this reaction. A few people made the comments, when he started spitting on the floor, he should have grabbed his shirt and pulled it over his head. Someone else made a comment, he should have grabbed his hat and wiped up. I've done that before. If you're going to spit, I'm going to use your shirt, your jacket, or your hat, and I'm going to wipe up your spit, and then I'm going to put it back on your head. Some people may have a problem with that. I've done that. I didn't have a problem with that. I never liked being real aggressive to guys who are handcuffed. They got a disadvantage. It's very easy to overpower them. They can't do a whole bunch of damage unless they got a knife or gun in their hand. As long as I'm out of spitting range and I can get their shirt over their head, there's not a whole lot they can do to me. So I don't see a reason for me to exert my great physical skills and defensive tactics and my macho, I can beat you up because you're handcuffed. I just didn't like that. I've seen cops do it. I don't like it. Sorry. I know there's a lot of people like, well, the cop shouldn't have, and he responded, and you don't know. Bullshit. I know I've been spit on. I've seen cops spit on. I've fought with guys. Look, this guy overreacted, and this was absolutely aggravated assault. To me, this is almost on the verge of deadly force. Remember what is deadly force? That force which can cause serious bodily injury and or death. When you knee a guy in the face and you grab his head and pull it into your knee, when he's handcuffed and he can't use his hands or resist you in any way, he's sitting down, you're standing up, running at him using the force of movement, inertia, and the force of your knee coming forward, and then you grab his head and bang it into your knee. Dude, that is deadly force in my book. I can kill you if I did that twice or three times. Maybe not once, but if I did it 2 or 3 times, there's a good chance I can kill you or cause seriously bodily injury. What this guy does is absolutely, in my book, he used deadly force on a handcuffed guy in a chair. Don't get me started. This guy was a jerk. Yes. He's a drunk. Yes. He spit on him. Yes. Again, when your actions are so outrageous that it overpowers the initial act, you become the primary aggressor, you become the bad guy, and plus, you've got government power authority. Therefore, you should be held accountable and restrained. And I'm glad he got charged. Sorry, I know the cop's going to be pissed at me for that, but whatever. Here we go.
On his feet and face when take a look.
Dude, absolutely BS. First of all, the knee was unnecessary. The grabbing his head and pulling it into the knee, and then the second uppercut to the jaw. Come on, give me a break.
The suspect
Really?
berating him for several minutes, spitting on his feet and face when take a look.
Oh, come
Berating
on,
him
dude.
for several minutes, spitting on his feet and face when take a look.
Absolutely outrageous. I don't care who you are. This guy should have been charged. He was wrong. Before I was on the fence. I ain't on the fence now. Cop was wrong. Excessive force. Should have been charged. Was charged. Took a plea deal. And is on ad or behind a desk. He's probably on a desk because he can't hear a gun till the plea deal goes through. It's a misdemeanor. They made it, I forgot the name of the charge, but it wasn't an assaultive charge. If he's convicted of a violent charge, then he can't carry a gun. So the DA said, all right, we're going to let you keep your job. We're going to make it some non-assaultive charge. That way you can keep your job, but you can't carry your gun until your probation's officer. He's on probation. Until he's off probation, he's riding a desk. He should be riding a desk. I'm not sure if he should be fired, but he definitely needs to have the limelight on him and cameras on him from now on because he's already demonstrated, you know what? First of all, he's a punk for doing that much aggressive to a guy handcuffed and seated. Yeah, he got spit in the face, but you know what, dude? Don't be a freaking pussy. That's my take. Everybody can argue it out and jump on me for changing my mind or whatever. Well, in that there,